Hello, everybody. John from the future here just to pop in and give a spoiler warning for this episode. There are spoilers for all of Star Wars, but most specifically for The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. So if you have not finished those and you would like to watch them without spoilers, then probably go finish that before you listen to this episode. And then when you come back, you can just enjoy.
Should we just start?
Yeah, so we don't really have a way of starting. We're just kind of all over the place. So
yeah, same for Behind the Bastards. There's no actual way to start anything.
This might be how we started it. We might be are we going, John?
I guess we're going. So yeah. Hi. There's a lot of noise now. Was that me? That is me. Okay. Wow.
Perfect.
Cool. It's not there anymore. The noise is gone. The noise was me charging my computer. Apparently that's bad and I shouldn't do that.
Wait, that makes noise?
Yeah, I'm plugged into the same power source for my recorder, so it's getting feedback from the AC.
Oh, sick.
Anyway, it's not there anymore.
All right. Welcome. This is a terrible place to live. And it's less terrible today because we have a wonderful guest. We're very excited. Garrison Davis, critically acclaimed person.
Yeah, famous Twitter personality from a very small sector of Twitter. Yeah.
I was telling some friends about it. I was like, listen, I'm very excited about this. And they're like, it doesn't mean anything to me. I was like, okay. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, David said he messaged you and I was like freaking out about it. And then I told my brother and he was like, who? And I was like, oh, well. But the people that listen to our podcast will be excited about it because they know who you are.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't, hi, my name's Garrison. I tweet a lot. And when I'm not tweeting, I'm either writing and hosting Behind the Bastards when the main host, Robert Evans, is too busy, or also working on other podcasts like Uprising, a guide from Portland, which is all about Portland's 2020 Black Lives Matter protests, which I got tear gassed extensively at. And if after you get tear gassed enough and you start posting videos, apparently people start following you on Twitter. So,
that's what I needed to do. I didn't realize that's why my Twitter following was so low. I hadn't been tear gassed enough.
Tear gassing is great for the tweets. Yeah, it really does numbers.
If you're like, you got tear gassed, I'll retweet. It's the least I can do.
That's kind of how it works.
I mean, this will make him feel a little better. Anyway, we're not here to talk about tear gassing today. Actually, we can talk about tear gassing. Did they do any tear gassing in Star Wars? Do we know? Probably.
I don't remember any tear gas like weapons in Star Wars.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind.
Maybe in the new shows they'll expand their arsenals. They'll have some tear gas.
Hopefully, and they can hire me as a consultant because I know one of the writers for the new shows actually.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I can talk to him. Maybe he can put some tear gassing into one of the new shows.
Yeah. Speaking of, I really hope they do like more genre stuff for the new shows, but I want like social issue dramas in Star Wars. where they're like where it's not just like the rebellion, but they're also like protests going on during the Imperial times. They're like, we're gonna march on Coruscant, you know?
The animated show Star Wars Rebels has a little bit of that. But it definitely that kind of stuff could be fleshed out a bit. So I'm a very dumb Star Wars nerd. I spent way too much time learning about all the various Star Wars canons and a whole bunch of nonsense. So I have too much information about it and I don't know what to do with it. So now I'm using my Twitter following to like worm my way onto podcasts to talk about nerd stuff.
It's not hard to worm your way onto our podcast, but we're happy to have you. If people haven't guessed by now, we're talking about Star Wars today.
They read the title. Yeah, that's why they're here.
Yeah, that's the thing I hate about podcasts is when the host like tries to like announce what the podcast is about, and it's like they act like it's some big surprise. So like, no, I clicked the episode. I know what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
The same with introducing guests. They read the title.
Yeah, so shock. It would be real fun to like mix it up though. Have like a title and a guest that isn't actually there, and it's actually a surprise. That'd be good. It'd be like Firefly with Robert Evans, and then it's not. It's Star Wars with Garrison.
No. Oh, John, for the title of the episode, put like Matthew McConaughey's on. Then we'll get all the clicks.
I'm not gonna lie in the title. No.
Oh, do it.
And I would not click on something that says Matthew McConaughey, so I think that may do negatively for your numbers.
Yeah. No.
Who's universally beloved?
Nobody. Literally nobody.
Star Wars with Barack Obama. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, so I am statedly on the podcast not a Star Wars fan, but I know too much about Star Wars to convince people that I'm not a Star Wars fan, and I will argue about Star Wars like with anyone.
I mean, everyone knows Star Wars is bad. And I think most of all of the leftist Star Wars fans knows that more than anything else. We know it's terrible, and we hate ourselves for liking it.
It's an abusive relationship.
It's an abusive relationship that just keeps letting us down. And we keep, every once in a while there'll be like a glimmer of hope. You're like, oh no, episode 8, you actually have some potential. And then they do something crappy again. And it keeps happening, and we never learn our lesson. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm too invested at this point. Like I can't get out. You know, it's a bit like a cult. Like I've spent so much time. If this isn't part of my life, what was it all for? You know?
I have hundreds of dollars of lightsabers in my apartment. It's a real issue. I can't stop.
I have read so many comics. I learned to write my name in Arabic in middle school.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Y'all are beyond me.
It takes up too much of my mind for me not to like watch everything that they come out with. Like Disney owns me. Yeah,
like when the announcement came when it was like there are 15 new Star Wars shows, I'm like, oh no.
Right.
I'm gonna have to watch all of these. Oh.
And they're not all gonna be good.
They're gonna mostly suck, but I still have to watch them.
As a person, I'm contractually obligated to view all of these things.
Very frustrating. So we're mainly talking about we're supposed to be mainly talking about the Mandalorian, correct?
I was thinking of it as like a springboard for discussion about Star Wars generally.
Okay.
I think we should start with just like getting into our background with Star Wars, like whether it was like something we grew up with. I think John and I have talked about this before, but we'll rehash it.
Yeah, we can rehash ours briefly. I was figuring that y'all two would mostly lead the discussion to wherever you want to go, and I will just sit here and make comments.
We do, like recently we've been doing like a rating system for things that we've watched or listened to. So I think we can do that for the new season at the end. And we'll get to that.
Sorry, my cats are destroying my apartment behind me. So if you hear crashing sounds, that's just my cats.
It's all right. I'm sitting on a sidewalk. Like.
So so rating system at the end.
Yeah. For the newest season.
We'll get to that.
So I listened to the Series of Unfortunate Events episode.
Oh really?
Because I like that show.
Oh nice.
So, but I assume probably the format has changed a lot since then, or at least a little bit.
We don't really have a format. We're slowly implementing a format now, and that's just the rating system. But that mostly comes at the end of the conversation.
All right.
We started reading from Wikipedia recently. That's been a new development. The last episode we had a lot of IMDb trivia, which was fun.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Yeah, we can figure this out. I'm familiar with the podcasting format, so I'm sure we can figure something out.
No, we just invited you on to like mansplain podcasting to
you. Noted employee of iHeartRadio. Yeah. All right.
No. We know better.
Okay.
So anyway, I watched all of The Mandalorian last night. I was up to like 4 a.m.
All of it?
Yeah. Yeah, I procrastinate. And I knew we
Okay.
were doing this episode, but then I was like, I've got to decorate my house for Christmas and stuff. So we did that, but like
Huh.
now I've seen it.
So did you watch all of season 1 and all of season 2, or just all of season 2?
Oh, season 2. I'd already
Okay.
seen season
Okay.
1.
What?
Yeah, not all of it.
Okay. All right. So you watched all of season 2 in one sitting. So
Yeah.
I watched it from week to week. So I wonder how that maybe affected our viewing experience.
I don't think there's a lot to be gained from watching it all at once because it's very episodic.
It's very episodic, except for in like the first. Well, this season felt like to have a little bit more of an ongoing plot line than season 1, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because like there was a lot of episodes that like ended on like a oh no, and then it's like then the next episode you're like, oh, it's Baby Yoda's okay actually. And you're like, all right.
I didn't like Baby Yoda this season. I turned on him, you know?
Really?
He was eating those eggs, and I was like, he's just being an asshole.
I love that. Okay, that's maybe my favorite part of the whole season. Is Baby
I was
Yoda
just like,
eating. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I was just like, putting this shit in your mouth, Baby Yoda. He ate the spider thing. Like,
I
was like,
I
you're
actually
just fucking
enjoyed
everything
it.
up.
I actually enjoyed when Baby Yoda was a bit of an asshole this season. That was maybe the main redeeming feature for me, because I do have some issues with this season.
I mean, the thing is, I like complaining about Star Wars. I act like I'm upset about it, but like deep down, I care so much that I'm like, I like venting, you know?
Yes.
It's a different kind of entertainment where you're happy to be upset about it.
Yes, that is Star Wars for me. Except when it really gets me upset, and then I can't. So like I can watch prequels and stuff. That's fine. I still can't watch Episode 9 again. It's gonna get me a little bit too frustrated.
I don't think anyone wants to go watch Episode 9 a second time.
No one. It's the thing that unites the fascists and the leftists is hatred of Episode 9.
Exactly.
The one thing that ties everyone together. But no, like I think Mandalorian is gonna fall more into kind of like the prequels-esque thing, where I have a lot of issues with it, but there's still enough fun things that aren't like offensive enough. Not offensive as in like, oh, it hurt my feelings, but like offensive as like me as a viewer that I find upsetting as like a storytelling, medium. Like it's just mediocre enough that I can watch it and not get like super upset, but also not actually really enjoy it. So it kind of falls in like the prequel kind of side of things.
I was watching it last night, and I realized it's a little bit like a worse version of Firefly.
Yeah, that's why Robert Evans likes the show. It's like Robert Evans loves Firefly. He's actually watching Firefly.
I love Firefly.
He's making me watch Firefly right now.
Oh, it's so good.
And after I watched the first episode with Robert, I'm like, oh, so this is just like The Mandalorian but better. He's like, yeah, that's why I like The Mandalorian. It's because it's like a space western thing with like a dude. Yeah,
that's a great summary of both of those shows.
Space western with a dude.
Yeah,
and Baby Yoda is River, as we all know. There's a lot of 1-to-1s, you know. I don't know who Wash would be though. We don't have a Wash yet. Maybe
No,
IG-88.
Really. I did like IG-88. He was fun. They could have picked a better number though. They shouldn't have done 88. But besides that, anyway, that's just my. I see not seeing everything because of my job.
Yeah.
So that's just my problem.
I think that the season has done like a very good job of like just enough fan service where like it's still entertaining to someone I'd think anyway who doesn't know a whole lot about Star Wars, but like there's enough of it there for me. Like, oh, Bo-Katan showed up finally. You know?
Yeah. I think by the end it crossed the fan service threshold, but before the last episode I was okay with it. They were pushing it, and I mean like I love Ahsoka, I love Bo-Katan. Those are some of my favorite characters from the Clone Wars. So I was like the Ahsoka episode is maybe my favorite episode of the whole show.
Oh, it's so good, yeah.
That's because I just really like Ahsoka.
So that's one of 2 episodes in season 2 I've seen. I have not seen
Wait.
Mandalorian season 2 all the way through. Because
Oh.
I don't have Disney Plus and I refuse to pay for it. So,
Interesting.
God.
but like the thing is, I read like articles about what happened, so I know I know what's going on. I don't really care about like the actual consumption of the media so much as I do like what is the underlying plot of the season.
Oh, I envy you so much.
And that like
Yeah.
so I used to read like Wikipedia instead of reading books. So I would find someone would suggest a book to me and then I'd go look up those characters on Wikipedia and read their storylines.
I mean that's much better because most Star Wars like quote unquote books are just that with like a whole bunch of nonsense thrown in.
Unless it's like, I'll defend Timothy Zahn. His books are pretty good.
I have Timothy Zahn books in my shelf, but I think he is a terrible writer. I have signed Timothy Zahn books like 1 foot away from me, but he like everything Star Wars, it still is very trashy. And I
haven't read any of the stuff that isn't Star Wars because that exists. I don't know what.
No, why would you?
Yeah, I know. But I love the book Scoundrels. I was like, they did Ocean's 11 in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I've gotta love it, you know?
Yeah, Timothy Zahn isn't. Yeah. Anyway, well,
I've read one book.
We may be seeing more of him in the Ahsoka show. We may be actually seeing some Thrawn.
Yeah.
Oh boy. That's probably going to happen. Which I have. What I mean, like everything Star Wars, I'm upset about, but I will absolutely love to watch it. Because like how can you say no to space Sherlock Holmes? You can't. It's too good.
I think out of all new shows that they announced, I'm so excited for the one that's like an anthology of Star Wars anime short films.
Yes.
That sounds sick as hell.
That one sounds really cool to me.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, like if like Star Wars Animatrix just sounds perfect. So hopefully that'll be good.
It's like the original Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's like the what's his name? Terraskotsky?
Yeah, Samurai Jack dude, yeah.
Yeah, Samurai Jack Clone Wars. Yeah, that
one. The one that I watched whenever I was like really little and I was like, damn, that's like a lot of gore. Like what's I was like, that dude exploded. And now Obi-Wan just like soaked in his guts.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
the one where my mom walked in and was like, I don't know if I like this.
My parents did that when I was watching the Darth Maul episodes of the animated Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
Like those got super dark.
I was sitting there watching them and I was like, I hope mom doesn't walk in because she hates witchcraft.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if we're talking about like history of Star Wars, I wasn't really allowed to watch much Star Wars when I was younger because of the whole cult thing.
Yeah.
So then when we moved to Portland, I started like watching the OT and stuff, eventually watched all of Clone Wars, and then got to the prequels, and then I started seeing the sequel films as they were coming out. But at the time, I also then was like, reading all the EU books, all the old canon, new canon, all of that nonsense. And that, then I just kind of fell into Star Wars nerddom or whatever.
I believe John, like, he had a similar thing where his parents were like, space witchcraft.
My parents still don't allow Star Wars in their house. So like, I live on my own now, but like when I'm at their house, they don't care for Star Wars because it's like Eastern religion or whatever. So
honestly, good. No Star Wars allowed. We've saved so many people.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Eastern religion is such a weird phrase. It's just like
Eastern religion.
Such a prejudice.
Quotes, but,
and also they're wrong. The prequels are heavily Christian. And
there's a chosen one.
I can get into this a whole bunch, but like the first 6 films were more. No, the first like 3 films were more Eastern. The prequels were heavily Abrahamic, and then the sequel films are a mess. And that is the ideology of all Star Wars. We did it.
Rise of Skywalker is nihilism.
Anarcho-nihilism. Take the black pill. Hang yourself in the closet. That is the message of that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, Palpatine's alive because fuck it, we don't care. Nothing matters.
Yeah, just
Uh.
I didn't see a single Star Wars film. Had no experience with Star Wars until Force Awakens came out. So
Okay.
that year I watched all of them before the movie came out, so that I could
Okay.
go be hyped.
What
You know?
what was your favorite one that you watched after like when you watched like all six in a close
Episode
time span
1.
then? Episode 1 was your favorite.
It's the
Okay.
only one that as a movie I was like, this is enjoyable.
Okay.
And I don't like it, obviously. Like there's some there's some major problems with just the movie as a movie, right? Obviously. But like if I had to watch any Star Wars movie now, it would be one of the either Rogue One or Han Solo. But like
Okay.
from the actual like three trilogies, it would be some of the prequels, either episode 1 or episode 3. Episode 2
Yeah,
could
I
go
mean,
suck a
I
dick.
think I can respect that. I think I can't watch episode 2. It's just the
It's so
Anakin,
boring.
the Anakin and Padme stuff is just a little bit too much. But episode 1 as like a standalone film actually isn't terrible. Jar Jar Binks is Jar Jar Binks, but even still, I think that's maybe the best standalone film of the prequels. I mean, episode 3 has some other like better moments, but it's not. It doesn't function good as like a standalone film. I think you can just watch episode 1 and have that be a thing you watch, and it's like, yeah, that's like that is a story that starts and ends and it's done.
Yeah, and well, and it has some really good like moments to it as a movie. Just like all the Darth Maul bits
Yeah.
are really really well done. Everything with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan is really
Liam Neeson's
fantastically
locked in that movie.
Oh, he's
yeah.
great.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
The plot and some of the side characters are a little bit problematic, and it gets a little bit weird, just in general. But I feel like that's...
I mean, besides the space racism, I don't have much of a problem with what's going on. I find like we have a lot of like George Lucas is very accidentally good about addressing certain political issues that he really doesn't know much about. So like wars being started over taxation of trade routes is an actual thing that should be discussed more often, and the film kind of tries to. Same thing with like episode 3 being like a liberal democracy turning into fascism. You're like, yeah, that's a story that we should be telling more often. It's just that the execution isn't fantastic.
Yeah. It's just it's poorly thought out in the actual like parts of the film where they need it to be discussed more seriously. The fun side of it
And it also
and the
feels-
concept of it is very good, but the actual execution of it is very I don't know, cheap, I guess.
Yeah.
It comes off very tonally dissonant, where it's like, this isn't what this movie is, you know? Like, they're
Yes.
like, now we're gonna go hang out with these senators for a while. It's like, okay, really? Like, I thought we were here to watch Space Swords.
See, that's maybe my favorite part of the prequels, though, is the weird mix mash of dumb political stuff with like laser sword fighting, because that's kind of what my life is. So I can like understand and appreciate that, because my life is a mix of dumb laser sword fighting as well as dumb street fighting mixed in with like very boring political stuff, because that's the world we live in now.
Yeah, I would say the political stuff is probably why those movies, like the prequels, I prefer over the other ones, even though they're objectively just not great.
Okay.
I mean, the best one's got to be Empire Strikes Back, though.
So like, what's your favorite of the original trilogy?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate them all.
So you don't like episode 4, 5, or 6 at all?
No, not
Okay.
really.
All right. That's interesting.
It's Garrison, we can cut him out of the Zoom call if you'd like.
Yeah, it is a possibility. Let's see.
I think
Yeah.
he's hosting.
I am
I'll
hosting.
ask for host privileges.
So yeah, episode 5 is by far the best Star Wars film pre-2015. Like objectively, as a movie, it is by far the best piece of manufactured fiction, in terms of the philosophy, in terms of the special effects for the time and how they've aged. It is by far the best piece of filmmaking that George Lucas has made. Well, I mean, the thing is that he didn't make it. that's why it's so good, is that he got someone else to write it and someone else to direct it.
Weirdly, his best movie is American Beauty, which is so strange.
Yes, that
It's
is
just
true.
like, oh yeah, let's watch Ron Howard drive around in a car, and
No,
it's
yeah.
better than anything else he ever does.
Absolutely. And then I really like the second half of Return of the Jedi a lot. I think my favorite shot in all of Star Wars is the one shot inside the Emperor's throne room. That's like a side angle of Luke and Vader fighting that like tracks Luke across the screen as he's like wailing on Vader. And it's by far, I think, the best piece of cinematography in the whole series. And I just really like Luke's arc in that film. So like I'm a huge Luke Skywalker fan. I have the Jedi Luke costume. I have like 3 Jedi Luke Skywalker lightsabers because I'm terrible. But I really like the kind of like nerdy farm boy turning into this emo teen with a lightsaber, because that kind of describes what my life was.
Yeah,
so
it's a relatable arc. Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill is also amazing. When he's not thirst posting about Joe Biden.
Right.
Mark Hamill's Twitter is a mixed bag, gotta say.
It's a very mixed bag. I'm happy the election's over so he can stop thirst posting about Joe Biden and go back to just being Mark Hamill.
Half of it's like, man, I really loved when I was in Star Wars, and the other stuff is like him like becoming very political now. It's like, all right, good for you. Like, glad you're involved.
It's like, you could be a lot worse for a movie star who was born in like the 50s or 60s. Like you could be a lot worse, but okay, yeah. Anyway,
Ford stands on things.
What?
Do we know where Harrison Ford stands on things?
I don't think Harrison Ford cares about politics.
I don't think he cares about anything.
He doesn't care about anything, right? He's Harrison Ford. It doesn't matter to him. I don't think anything really matters to Harrison Ford, and I don't really want to learn more than that.
I think he's a pure capitalist and nothing else.
I don't think he's a capitalist. He's just someone who wants to like build wooden shelves and occasionally shoot guns in movies. I think that's all Harrison Ford is, and that's all we really need him to be. We don't need him to be much more than that.
Harrison Ford is essentially like Ron Swanson if he were real and an actor.
Yeah, so I mean, episode 5 is by far, I think, the best piece of film. I like the second half of episode 6 more, just personally, even though I know it's not as good of a film. And then pre Force Awakens, I learned a whole bunch about like Star Wars nerd stuff. Force Awakens came out, and I thought it was okay on my first watch. I started to like it less the more I thought about it. But I thought it was an all right opener after the prequels that kind of reestablished traditional Star Wars stuff.
I will say this, and this is a bit of a hot take. I don't think a single J.J. Abrams movie holds up to scrutiny.
Oh, doesn't.
They're fun, but then like
instantly.
Actually, that's not that much of a hot take. I think everyone.
I don't think anyone disagrees with you.
No, everyone knows this. Yeah.
It sounded like it was because it was a blanket statement, but then as soon as I said it, I was like, that's just true.
No, that's not controversial at all.
Yeah, I mean, with Force Awakens specifically, like, I was riding the hype of opening night for first Star Wars movie that I'd gone to see in theaters. So I came out of it being like, whoa, crazy.
Yeah.
And then I saw it in theaters one more time, and I have not watched it again because it's just, I was like, nope.
There's nothing else. There's nothing there.
Once you've seen it, it was all spectacle. Once you've seen it, you've seen it.
It's like the best way that I can describe Force Awakens is like the greatest hits album of Star Wars. It's just like Star Wars greatest hits. Here you go again.
Well, and the best scene of the entire movie is in the first like 5 minutes when Kylo Ren stops that blaster bolt. In midair. It goes downhill from there.
About that.
It goes downhill.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of my favorite scene from that film.
Can you even remember any scenes from that film?
I can, because I'm me. My favorite scene from that film is maybe just like Rey eating food in the fallen down AT-AT. Something like that. Like it feels very like Luke playing with his dumb like action figures in episode 4. Just like it's like just like quiet moment alone on some sand, and that's really what Star Wars boils down to a lot of the time, is just people being alone in a terrible world trying to be happy. So like that's maybe it, but yeah, the rest of the film is just like, it's fine, but there's nothing good.
There's a lot of pointless shit in there too. Like the part where they're on that ship at the beginning, where there's like the weird space monster that's running around.
Oh yeah, the dumb Indiana Jones space monster thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the point of that?
I don't know. Also, I got obsessed with that scene because I timed how long it took that monster to eat all the people it grabbed, and it was like 6 seconds. And then the monster carries around Finn in the spaceship for like 2 minutes without eating it. I'm like, what is this bullshit? What is going on here?
It's
He was full.
He's like, this one's for later.
Anyway, so yeah, episode 7 is meh. Rogue One came out, and I have issues with the way that film got focus tested and the way the film handled gender, because originally in the first cuts of the film, Felicity Jones' character was a lot more active. Like they were a lot more like forceful. They had more quote unquote spunk, and it tested poorly for male audiences. Then they reshot a lot of her scenes to make her more docile, which I hate.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that makes sense, because her character does feel like she should be doing more that entire movie, and then she's just not for some reason.
Yeah, like if you watch the first Rogue One trailer, her character is totally different in the trailer. She's like bossing people around. She's being forceful, kind of like how Leia was in Episode 4.
Like Poe Dameron, really.
Yeah, and then they reshot it all. But gender issues aside, I like that film as a film about terrorists blowing up a building. So I think it's a good movie if you ignore the gender issues. They do a good job making it, and that's really my only issue with it. Besides that, is just the gender stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Rogue One goes, I feel like it does something that other Star Wars movies haven't done, in a way that, like, for me at least, is something that I was excited about when it came out, which was like it was touching on aspects of Star Wars lore without just being like, oh, and that guy exists and he's got backstory. Yes. Like, it touched on some things, and it gave you a new story with things that tied into the lore, but it didn't just say, there is lore and you can go read it, which is what always bothers me. Because, like, you know, with like Boba Fett, Jango Fett, Mandalorians, until the show now, and even with the show, really, it was always just like, there is lore surrounding these characters and like their backstories and like who they are, but we're not going to show you any of it. It's just, you're going to have to just go find it yourself. Whereas I feel like Rogue One does a little bit more of where it actually, it kind of does that with Chura, and I forget the other guy's name.
Faye Zumbas.
Yeah, they touch on their backstory guys a little bit, but then they give you a good story with those characters. Yeah, that doesn't just say these characters exist and we told you they're cool, so you should believe they're cool. They
actually shows them doing cool things.
Right.
Which is my problem with someone like Boba Fett, where Boba Fett is not cool in the OT. Like, he never does anything impressive.
The only thing cool he does is have a jetpack.
He didn't even use it correctly. The jetpack is what killed him. He didn't even use it. Like, I hate Boba Fett so much because he gets everything handed to him in the OT, and everyone loves him. He's like, in Episode 5, he did nothing. Vader did all the work, and Vader gave him Han Solo. But Boba Fett didn't do a thing. And then in Episode 6, he gets killed like a schmuck by Han Solo, who's blind, who's wailing around a stick. Which is why I never understood why people like Boba Fett, because he wasn't good at anything.
I barely realized he was a character.
He got redeemed a little bit in Clone Wars with like his whole arc, becoming a bounty hunter.
Who cares? He's a fucking child. No one cares about him. He's a baby.
I like the shit with where he was standing there with his dad's decapitated head.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty funny.
And I was like, this made him like who he is, you know? I was like, that's a good moment. Like, as a character, like, this defined him, you know? But
it doesn't matter, because we never see that impact him anywhere in the movies. Like, we don't know, like that was all retrofitted, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually matter. So yeah, it's a fun shot, but I only laugh at it because I think it's funny, right? Because like it doesn't actually mean anything because it has no cause and effect. So like especially so like if you look something like pre-Clone Wars, I have no idea why people liked Boba Fett. It must have been like toy marketing essentially, because it was but I never understand why people liked him, which means I had to hate him because I'm a contrarian and because I'm terrible.
Yeah, I get that.
Star Wars is very similar to Transformers, in that they're essentially long commercials for their toys.
Yeah, but I think the Transformers show is good actually. But this is a different podcast. That's a different. I can pull out my Starscream collection later, but that's for a different podcast.
Next time we'll come back. We'll talk about Transformers.
I know nothing about Transformers.
Good.
Fortunately I escaped that one.
Also good. Yeah, that's good.
I see the people with like the stickers on their cars, and I'm like, fucking nerds. I don't want to be like that. I'll just go write my name in Arabesh, but you're a loser.
You're a loser. That's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, so did we get everyone's thoughts on Rogue One? I guess we're kind of just doing a Star Wars retrospective here, then eventually we'll get to the next
one. At this point, I think we're just kind of leading wherever we think.
Actually, I think it would be good to ask what everyone's like favorite Star Wars property is overall.
Okay,
like, so not even just movies, just anything.
I mean, that would probably be the next thing after Rogue One, which is The Last Jedi, which I think is to me is a perfect movie that I would change probably nothing. And I think
they gave Rian Johnson a trilogy, right?
They
took it away.
Kind of did, and then they kind of took it away.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But
poor dude. He's doing well though.
I think The Last Jedi is a perfect film that shows everything good about Star Wars and kills everything bad about Star Wars.
That's interesting to me. I have some problems with that movie just from a standpoint of I just didn't enjoy it all that much. Because I feel like the editing is kind of wonky and a lot of the jokes just don't land and I feel like they're really cheesy. But then I have to step back and be like, out of all the Star Wars movies, like just out of all of them, it is probably the most well-rounded in terms of action and humor and plot. So like, I don't really know where I stand.
Interesting.
I'd be
interested to see what problems you have with it specifically. Because I was in film school. I was just entering film school the time that movie came out. And I appreciate a lot of the editing on it. Rian Johnson's next film, Knives Out, has a lot of the same kind of editing styles. And I love that film probably even more than Last Jedi. I just appreciate his style of filmmaking. Everything from Looper to Brick to Last Jedi to Knives Out. I like the way he structures a story, specifically a mystery, and then slowly kind of unravels it.
Also, the cinematography in Last Jedi is amazing.
Oh, I think it's the best cinematography in any Star Wars film. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it.
All of the stuff on the planet at the end. Where they're like flying across, it's so nice.
That and then Luke's fight with Kylo.
Yeah.
I think is maybe the best lightsaber fight.
The Haldo maneuver, so many good moments.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I love everything about it. I love the messaging in the film. I think is the quintessential Star Wars messaging from like something like it builds on everything Episode 5 laid out, and then it's able to do it with like hindsight of the prequels and everything. It kind of just ties all of the mess of Star Wars into a nice little bow, and it's like, no, this is what Star Wars is about. Here's the philosophies we want to put in, and here's the stuff that can be ignored. And I guess the film's mainly about failure, and how to overcome that on a personal level. And I think that's just a good message for children. And I just really like everything about it.
And I really like the Poe Dameron's plotline in that one,
it's
where
great.
It's like completely like shooting down like the lone hero thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no.
I mean, on the online left, people usually like The Last Jedi, but a lot of the things people still complain about is the Holdo versus Poe stuff, which I love. I love that whole plot line. I know everyone's complaining about how Holdo's not telling Poe the plan. I'm like, no, Poe was like a just demoted officer who is not entitled to the plans of the people on the higher deck. If you're like in a war, no. And she states the reason later. She states the reason why she didn't tell the plan was because she didn't want it to like get leaked to the First Order. So then, when Poe learns about the plan, it gets leaked to the First Order because he tells Finn and Rose, and then the character they have I think
that smuggler
DJ
dude or whatever.
but then he leaks to the First Order. So like the reason why she didn't tell the plan is because she didn't want what happened to happen. So like it all makes sense.
Right.
So I know maybe it could have been a little bit clarified a little bit better, because I know some people are still confused about that like section.
I didn't particularly like that, but not because I didn't think that Holdo was doing the right thing, but because I felt like they kind of changed Poe's character from the first movie, but they really didn't give Poe a character in the first movie. So
Poe was supposed to die in the first act of episode 7. He wasn't supposed to. He wasn't supposed to survive the TIE fighter crash.
Right.
The only reason he is alive is because he's Oscar Isaac, and
it's because Oscar Isaac was too likable. That J.J. Abrams was like, we can keep you alive and put you back in the end of the film. So yeah, like he didn't really have a character because he wasn't supposed to be in episode 7 as much as he did.
Yeah.
And I like the kind of cocky flyboy thing getting turned on its head, and he like does not want to listen to this woman with purple hair. And I feel like that's a lot of the like male audiences who complained about the arc. I'm like, you're like Poe. You don't want to listen to the woman with purple hair. You're demonstrating the point perfectly.
This hit too close to home for you.
Exactly.
That's how you know it's good art, because it's getting to you.
But yeah, my favorite part is probably Luke and how Luke explains the Force to Rey, and how Luke is so just broken as a person. Which I think is a very nice follow-up to where we left him off in episode 6. My favorite part of that is that Luke's not a badass, because Luke was never a badass. When we're gonna get to this later when we talk about Mandalorian, but like Luke was always a nerdy goth boy. Like he was never like he was first a nerd farm boy, and now he's a nerdy goth. That's all he was. He never did anything cool. Like he was never a badass because he wasn't supposed to. We never needed that from him. Luke can be cool without being a badass, and that was important to me as a younger teen.
Because when he shows up in Return of the Jedi, sorry to interrupt you, but like you can tell that like he's trying so hard.
He's trying so hard. Yeah, like when he shows up to Jabba's palace, he's trying so hard, and then he falls into a giant pit.
Yeah.
And it's great.
And then like even when he's like trying to escape, you know that he's trying to look cool too.
Yeah.
He does like the backflip and shit.
And his plan is so like convoluted. He hides he needs to like uses R2 as a fucking like lightsaber shooter, and it's so nerdy. It's like, all right, R2, I'm gonna put my lightsaber in your head, and if I get captured and we go onto a big boat, you just shoot a lightsaber up, and then I'll catch it. And like, it's such a dumb plan. That's so stupid.
You know, the planning meeting too, R2 is like, what if you just have the lightsaber in the first place, and then you just fight them that way? And then Luke's like, no.
The plan, the way it goes is R2 is like, you fucking idiot. What is this nonsense? Because in canon, R2 swears a lot, which is really funny. And they actually mentioned this in The Last Jedi. When R2 and Luke first meet, R2 beeps something and Luke's like, hey, Secret Island, watch the language. So like actually like reference how R2 swears all the time, which is really funny.
I want to hear C-3PO start swearing. I think that would be the funniest thing ever.
He's too proper.
He could never.
No.
That's why R2 swears.
Not like regularly. I want there to be like something that like breaks him, and then where it's like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah. So I liked how Luke was a broken person, because I mean he killed so many people. Like he blew up the Death Star. Like right. Like he killed so many people. That's gonna mess you up. And if he thinks that he can prevent more deaths by like killing his nephew for like just like 1 second, of course he's gonna think that because he's killed thousands of people already, right? So he's always done preemptive killing. That's what the Death Star is. So when he thinks that for 1 split second, I think it's great, and then he immediately regrets it because he loves his nephew, and then he is just so broken. And I think that's a wonderful story for Star Wars, and that's a great story for Luke. And I was really upset that people didn't seem to appreciate it and just wanted Luke to be a badass.
Yeah, and also weird to criticize that movie for like how it portrays Luke. That movie makes Luke look so fucking cool at the end.
At the end, oh my god! But it's the most Jedi thing because he doesn't actually hurt anybody.
Yeah,
the best part is that he looks so awesome, but that it's all great because he's actually doing like the ultimate self-sacrifice, which should be what the Jedi do.
It's aspirational to show that even him, a broken person, can do so much and help people. So like it's showing that even like someone who's gone through what he's gone through has something to contribute, and it's great.
And the first thing he did when he showed up at Crate to like after he met Leia, first thing he did was apologize to Kylo. Which is fantastic. Which was that's the first thing you do, and it's great because the last line he says before he disappears is "See you around, kid," which is of course quoting Han Solo. So I was so excited for Episode 9 because I'm like, we're gonna get like Luke like haunting Kylo, and essentially we're gonna get like Luke trying to apologize and like make up with Kylo as a Force ghost, and then he's gonna like eventually Kylo's gonna eventually forgive him, and then they're gonna fight whatever. Then they're gonna fight like whatever like fascist is trying to take control, whatever that like redheaded loser guy is.
Oh, Donald Gleason.
Yeah. So I was going to Episode 9 thinking we're gonna get Luke like actually apologizing to Kylo as a Force ghost, and they're gonna fight Hux, who's trying to like become like a fascist warlord. To be great, and then that did not happen at all.
Dude, Hux has the weirdest arc. Like as a character, what the fuck was going on there? Like,
I don't know.
Well, what's happening is instead of writing movies, a lot of Hollywood movies feel like someone went through a Reddit board of like what we like theories for the next film and just plucked all of those ideas and made a script out of it. and like I don't know, like
so and the good ones they were like, no, too obvious.
Like I feel that way. Like I feel that way about Episode 9, and I feel that way about like the last two Avengers movies. Like they just feel like someone went through a Reddit board and went, okay, that's what it is now.
They do feel like movies made for the internet, but like all the worst parts of the internet.
Yeah,
I did say Reddit, did I not?
Yeah, I mean Reddit isn't as relevant now as it used to be, so I think a lot of stuff happens on like Twitter and stuff as well. Yeah, but I mean, do we need to talk about Han Solo movie? Like, it's fine, it's okay.
It's my favorite Star Wars movie. But
really?
We do not have to talk about it because one of the reasons it's my favorite Star Wars movie is there's nothing to say about it.
Yeah, as I've said, it's just fine.
It's fine.
I really have no notes. It's just okay.
It was cool.
Right.
It has the most, like, to reference Mark Kermode, the most chubby moment of all in Star Wars, where he goes Han Solo. And I hated that.
It's really bad.
That is really bad.
But it's also very Star Wars, so like, all right. Like, okay. Yeah, it sucks, but like, whatever. Like, it's Star Wars. Yeah, Episode 9. I mean, it did everything wrong. I don't think we need to say anything more than that.
We really did a whole ass episode just getting mad on it.
Okay, so good. You already did that.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
All right, yeah.
I was looking yesterday. I found out that one of the writers for Episode 9 was a writer for
Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Batman and Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Justice
League was a writer for the movie Monster Trucks.
I didn't know that.
It's the movie where there's shells of trucks that instead of having engines have monsters in the middle of them.
Okay, this actually sounds good.
It's a Nickelodeon movie, isn't it?
It looks like a Nickelodeon movie.
But no, yeah, they're like, okay, here I'm gonna role play Lucasfilm here. So we need someone to help J.J. Abrams because he needs some help on the script. Let's get the guy that made the beloved Batman v Superman movie. Let's get him to help J.J. Abrams make the last Star Wars film. That's a good idea. And then they did it.
People said this script was bloated. I'm sure I'll do it this time.
Oops. Yeah. So that's what happened. No, I think I'll only say one thing about episode 9 is the ending of it is terrible because it betrays everything Rey should be about, and it sends a bad message to children. Because Rey's biggest thing in all of the sequel movies was that her greatest fear was not being alone. That was always her thing. And even in episode 7, episode 8, her thing was about not wanting to be alone. And in episode 8, she learned that she didn't need her parents to find meaning. She can just try to make other connections so she isn't alone. And then in episode 9, all of her friends die. And she is at the end of the film alone on Tatooine. And she started the films alone on a sand planet, and she ends the films alone on a sand planet. Now, that isn't some like good full circle moment. It's that she's gone nowhere.
Yeah, they really backtracked everything from episode 8.
She's still alone on a sand planet, and she has no friends. And the one person she made a connection with, which was Kylo, died. So the message of the film is if you're alone, you can try making friends, but then they're all going to die and you're still going to be alone. And that's the message of the new films. And I hate it. It's terrible for children.
And also...
And she puts Luke's and Leia's lightsabers on Tatooine, the place Luke wanted to leave more than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's really a fuck you moment.
It's terrible. They only wanted to get off Tatooine, and now they're back on Tatooine.
Forever.
Which again, isn't a full circle moment. It's negative growth. It's not full circle, it's negative growth. Which I hate.
It's just you know this. You like it, right?
It's a reference to the fans, yeah. It's a problem with a lot of J.J. Abrams movies is that the characters make decisions for the audience to understand the reference, not for the characters to make good decisions. You see this in his Star Trek films when Benedict Cumberbatch says, "I am Khan." It's like that means nothing to the characters. Characters don't know what that means, but the fans do, right? That is just all of episode 9. Episode 9 is just I am Khan all over again for the whole film. It's here. This is something the fans will get, but the characters in the show, it means nothing to the characters.
Fan service is really one of the things that irks me the most about like big franchises, because it makes for terrible movies that people go crazy over. And it's just really annoying when you're trying to enjoy something that like meant something to you, and then all of a sudden it's just like, remember this?
It's like being winked at. You just stop winking at me.
So I mean, the Emperor's dumb. We don't need him as a villain. That's stupid. Hux, like everything should have been handled different, right?
I wanted to say, I think Rey changing her name is the dumbest shit ever.
Oh, yes.
Because it just tells you, like, it seemed like what it could have been was no matter where you come from, you can be your own person. You don't have to.
That's episode 8. Yeah, right. It's the whole thing is because in episode 7, she gets asked, "What's your name?" and she just says Rey, and then someone's like, "Rey what?" She's like, "Just Rey." And it's like oh she's alone, she has no family thing, right? And then she gets over that in episode 8. It's like, yeah, good. You don't need this like built-in family. You can make your own friends and not be alone. In episode 9, when she shouldn't be in Tatooine at all, but let's say she still is because terribleness. When she gets asked what's her name and she says Rey, and the person says, Rey what? This is referencing episode 7. She should say just Rey. And then that isn't negative growth. That actually is a full circle moment because she is now content with that answer instead of it being an uncontent answer.
That would be what they meant to do, but didn't do.
No, yeah.
Except for the Tatooine part. I mean,
I would still have problems with Tatooine and stuff. But yeah, that would be actual growth. But she has to rely on this dumb family like lineage thing. Be like, no, Rey Skywalker, which is like, it's so stupid. because she should be content just being herself. That should be the message of the film: is that you can find friends, and you can also be content without being part of this
Well,
big,
you can find
lineage.
meaning beyond like your
beyond your
lineage.
like built-in family. Yeah. And it's not that. And yeah,
It's like the difference between writing poetry and like writing a Dr. Seuss book, where it's like, oh, it rhymes, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. Like what?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I mean, I have problems with how Luke is handled and how he doesn't, because I really wanted Luke to haunt Kylo and like have character growth there, which didn't happen, which makes his last line "see you around, kid" kind of meaningless. But anyway, I don't need to talk about that film anymore because why? Yeah.
All right. Now Star Wars is pulling a full Marvel. They're like, we've got all of our movies that are just self-referential nonsense. Let's make some TV shows, right?
I guess we could bring up. So, did you guys see any of Clone Wars, the show?
I watched all of it.
Okay.
And the Clone Wars movie, which
yeah.
Remember that?
So I saw all of Clone Wars. I saw the Clone Wars movie. I watched Rebels a few times, which is kind of like Clone Wars, but a little bit more for kids and set like 5 years before A New Hope.
I think they're just doing what Clone Wars did, because it was pretty for kids at the beginning and just aging out.
And then it slowly, it got aged up a little bit. Yeah. I liked Rebels. I thought it was fine. I like Clone Wars a little bit more. The last season of Clone Wars is really good.
Oh, it's so good. Except for like the Bad Batch stuff. That was
which was a little bit boring. Yeah. The Bad Batch stuff was a little bit boring.
But it's getting a show.
Yay. Guess what I'll be watching.
They're like, these characters have nothing. Let's make a show based around them and only them.
But yeah, like the Siege of Mandalore was great. Darth Maul and Ahsoka was great. Like the last 4 episodes were like a good movie if you just like stitch them together.
Yes, definitely.
Because they actually have character moments and they have things where the characters make decisions for themselves and not as a reference for the fans, and it's good.
And some of the best like fight choreography in all of Star Wars.
Yeah. So the last fight between Ahsoka and Maul was actually motion capture. Yeah. Which is great.
With Ray Park.
With Ray Park. Which you can tell because of the way Darth Maul moves his foot
to him.
Yeah, but like the way he kicks his foot is the same way Ray Park always fights with a staff, and you can tell, and it's wonderful. Fantastic fight. So Clone Wars is a mixed bag, but it has enough good things that I'm calling it good.
Yes, definitely.
And then I guess season 1 of Mandalorian, which is okay.
It's very much a TV show, which is not what you.
And it's very much okay.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe with it, when I started and when I like watched trailers and stuff, and when the show was on, is like, okay, the show is just purely based on the concept of the main character looking cool. That is like the driving motivation for the show, is that character in armor look cool. Which is the same reason why people like Boba Fett, right? It's like it's the same thing. Like there's no real substance there, but man, look cool, I guess. And you're like, okay.
Which is why I was so excited for Bo-Katan. I'm like, they got a Mandalorian that has a character.
That actually has a character and actually does things. Yeah. But like, it's like I appreciate the lone wolf and the cub type stuff, right? Because Mandalorian season 1 very much draws on a lot of like old films of that genre. Same thing with Hidden Fortress was an inspiration for A New Hope. So you have a lot of old Japanese films influencing the Mandalorian, which is great. Like the music's good, the way it's filmed is fine. It's impressive for filming it essentially in front of a big like LED screen. Jon
Favreau is a great technical filmmaker.
Yes.
Like as Lion King, bad movie, great technically.
I guess. I mean, I think the characters. I think because characters can't emote, I think it also isn't great technically because the animals are too focused on looking real and not looking like characters.
No, but
the
like
art
as
direction
a technical
is not good,
feat,
but his
as a feat,
yes,
not as anything else.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, they accomplished that. Good for them, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, like same thing with Iron Man, which was kind of revolutionary for the time. He's a good technical filmmaker. All the best bits in that show come from Dave Filoni, at least in season 1.
Taika Waititi as well.
And Taika Waititi, like IG-88, fantastic. Like Taika Waititi directed the last episode. I think probably my favorite moment in season 1 is the 2 stormtroopers talking in the beginning of episode of the last episode, and they like keep missing, and it's great. Like that's good, and that's very much like Jojo Rabbit, which is maybe one of the best films about Nazis.
Yes.
We in this podcast are Taika Waititi stands.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, and I like that Baby Yoda's a puppet. I think puppets are cool. I loved in episode 8 that Yoda was a puppet again, and I like that Yoda was like back to being actual Yoda, like Yoda as the troll, not Yoda as like the guy in the prequels. And you could tell his puppet was great, and I like that Baby Yoda's a puppet too, and it's a fun puppet.
I think puppets move very creepily, but I feel like if it had been CGI, it would just be bad.
But it looks so much better than CGI.
Yeah, so much better for that role. But like also, the movement of puppets
it looks
creeps
creepy.
me out.
but I can tell it's a physical object, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas, I guess full spoilers for Mandalorian now. I can tell Luke's face isn't a physical object, right? There is something you can. There's something that you can feel that's like, no, that's something I could touch versus no, I can't touch that. There's always something. And no, like same thing with Tarkin's face, everything. Tarkin's much better than Luke.
At this point, I'm just wondering when Hollywood is going to learn that de-aging people and like digital face replacements is just either completely worthless or really, really difficult. Like the only one that really makes it any like sense is Blade Runner 2049, because people don't even realize it was digital face. But like,
there's still I'm in film school. I know about film stuff. De-aging people so much better. De-aging people is way easier than trying to do a digital face replacement. De-aging, especially if you're doing a de-aging deepfake on the same actor, so much easier, which is why The Irishman's possible. Versus something like Tarkin or Leia in Rogue One, where you're trying to put another actor's face onto another actor. That is where all the issues start, because no one knows how to, because animating mouth movements is very difficult. Because there's a lot of like micro expressions that people do with our lips that's very hard to animate, and also it's hard to make the eyes look alive. But if you're filming the same actor, so like Robert De Niro in The Irishman, if you're filming the actor, you already have all those exact lip movements, and you have those eyes. You just need to de-age the rest of the face, which is so much easier. And they haven't done that in Star Wars yet, because they did not do that for Luke, which they should have done with Mark Hamill, but they didn't.
Did y'all watch The Five Bloods on Netflix, the Spike Lee movie?
No.
I haven't gotten around to it now.
Something they did in that movie was they'd have these flashback sequences to the Vietnam War, where the same actors who are playing them in present day as like old men, they're playing them in the past sequences as well, just completely the same. And you know it's different because of storytelling cues. And I don't think people need to like focus so much on like, oh, we're gonna do like this extravagant like technical thing where we
they should have cast Sebastian Shaw, which or Shaw, whatever his name is. They should have done that, because then no one cares, because at least it's a real face. But we'll get to that later. Because I have a whole bunch of thoughts on the last episode of Mandalorian season 2. But in terms of season 1, I think it's fine. Like it's not good, but like it's fine.
It's the kind of show where I'll watch it and I'll be like, I guess that wasn't a waste of time, but like
I'm never watching it again.
Yeah.
It's never something. Mandalorian looked cool. Yep. All right. I guess he looks kind of cool sometimes, but I don't really care. Okay.
Actually, surprisingly, he doesn't look that cool in the first season.
No, and he looks like a doofus compared to Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Like when we get to like the episode with other Mandalorians, like, no, this guy doesn't know anything he's doing. The other Mandalorians actually look like they know what they're doing. Boba Fett and Mando have no idea what they're doing. They're just kind of walking around and randomly shooting. Like they're not good. But look cool as in like, oh, here's him walking away in the sunset with his armor shining. Oh yeah, that means coolness in film language.
Yeah. Well, he looks cool. He looks cool when he's beating up regular people, where he's just like trying to get information out of some guy. And it's like, man, he really brutalized that guy. That's fucking cool.
They put a lot of weight on just the idea that because he beat up these people who are supposedly really good at what they do, he's much better at what they do.
Yeah.
So then they don't really care about like his choreography or anything like
No.
that at all. So like in season 1, I believe it's like episode
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. In season 1, they're trying to extract someone from like a prison cell, and and there's a scene where he takes down like a bunch of droids, all at once, and that scene he does nothing that looks like he would actually be able to destroy them. Like, you think he's going to get stopped because it doesn't look like he actually has much force in his fighting at all. And then he just destroys them all. And you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, he's really good at fighting because we just saw him take down all these droids. It's like
the action in Mandalorian is never well choreographed. And the bigger problem is that it has no stakes. It's like the way they telegraph the show is they always make Mandalorian the dude. I'm not going to call him by his names. I know he has a name that people reference in like articles and stuff, but they never say it in the show. So fuck that.
No.
But like the way they telegraph his actions is always to like, make him look very powerful, which makes the show's action have no stakes whatsoever. It's like you never feel like any character is in danger. You never feel like there's ever going to be consequences.
Yeah, he got swallowed by a dragon. I didn't worry for a second.
No.
Yeah, you never care. Like you know him or Baby Yoda is never going to get hurt.
Well, there wasn't even a question of whether or not he would come back in that episode, right?
No,
there wasn't even a question
not.
of would he like, would it be a cliffhanger and he come back the next episode? No, obviously he's just gonna kill that freaking dragon immediately and save the day.
So they only establish stakes in the show one time. We'll talk about that later, and then they ruin it. But for all of season 1 and all of season 2, except for last episode, there's usually no stakes in the action, which makes the action boring. So when you take like in something like in season 2, when him and Boba Fett first actually meet, and Boba Fett like kills all those stormtroopers, you know what the stormtroopers never do is they never fire a single shot. So yeah, Boba Fett's cool taking down like 50 troopers, but they're only charging at him. They never try shooting.
It's video game logic. It's video game logic. You attack them until they get beat up, and then I'll come in after.
It's the worst because like everyone was like sharing the clip on Twitter, be like, "Yeah, Boba Fett's finally cool." I'm like, no one's attacking Boba Fett. He's just punching them as they walk up to him. He's not doing anything cool. No one's attacking him. They can have 50 people line up and just all shoot his legs, then he's dead. But they don't do that.
No, Garrison, he's so cool that they can't attack him.
They're just intimidated to pull the trigger. They can't.
They're like, oh, he's so fucking cool. What do we do?
It's terrible. It's like, so I hate when people share stuff, be like, oh yeah, they're finally cool. I'm like, no, it's a poorly shot scene with no action or stakes. But
both the Mandalorian and Boba Fett are the guy from Indiana Jones who swings the sword around.
The swords. Yeah, you just shoot them in the leg. It's easy. Have you tried it? I mean, Mandalorian's a little bit easier because he actually has leg armor, but Boba Fett doesn't. Because Boba Fett's not good at anything. But I mean, I like parts of season 2. I like the episode on water. I hate the sweaters because those sweaters shouldn't be in Star Wars because it looks like an Earth sweater, and that kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, oh, it's just like Admiral Akbar in an Earth sweater. That's not cool. And that's it.
But also, we can't root for the Mandalorian as a protagonist because he's objectively racist. He's space racist towards the Mon Calamari. He gets back in his ship and he's like, oh, typical Mon Calamari.
Okay, I think that's valid. No, fuck those men. Fuck those squid people. Who cares? They have stupid sweaters. But
I want the Mandalorian to get canceled on Twitter because
he's space racist? Yeah. No, I want to be canceled on Twitter because I'm space racist. Quote me. Fuck those space squids.
Fuck the space squids.
As I've said, we need a social issue drama in Star Wars about space racism.
That's what Thrawn was.
Yeah.
Is that because everyone was racist against Thrawn because he was the only alien in the Empire.
And it's so weird that the Empire is such a overtly racist organization, but they never like directly touch on
they
it.
never bring it up because it would be too political. Noted unpolitical thing, wars. Yeah. Okay. But I do like the water episode because I like Bo-Katan because Bo-Katan's great in the show. Great. I love they brought the same actor who plays her in Clone Wars. It's great.
Mhm.
The action is good. They're actually good at fighting. Let's see. People actually shoot at them with blasters, unlike Boba Fett. And I like water. I think the water stuff was fun, and the Mandalorians actually seem neat in that episode, and that's it. Yeah,
Good episode. Good episode.
it's nice finally seeing a crate dragon. That's cool.
No, fuck
No,
that.
I mean-
I'm done with seeing him kill big animals.
Oh yeah,
It's
I don't
like,
care. I don't
whatever.
care about him killing big animals. I just like crate dragons. I just like crate dragons, and we've never seen them in Star Wars actually before.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that they have the crate dragon pearl, just like in the EU. So it's very nerdy, which is like the fan service that like doesn't matter because like no one cares except for me, right? So like it's like fan service that doesn't actually impact the story, but it's just like a fun tidbit for the losers who are watching the show. That's fun. Right? It's like, oh yeah, there's the crate dragon pearl. Aw, I know about that because I have no life. It's that kind of thing.
I liked seeing them sit down and eat with the Tuscans. I was like, this
That
is
was
pretty
good.
cool.
No, yeah. I love when the Mandalorian just like talks with the Tuscan Raiders. That's great because like that is very Star Wars actually. Is like trying to you have this enemy that you don't really understand, and you can just kind of talk to them, which is why I like Steven Universe. And that's actually the one part about the Mandalorian I actually really like is how he doesn't just kill the Tusken Raiders. I like that he actually talks to them because it actually adds a little bit of depth to the character that they don't ever really bring up, but I appreciate.
It's cool that he knows Tusken as well.
It's great because he took the time to be like, I could just kill these people, or I can learn their language and talk with them. And he chose to do that, and I think that's really neat.
I was a little surprised how Amy Sedaris seems to know every language for every alien. I'm like, man, she must spend so much time learning all of these languages.
I do love her. I do love her so much. We already talked about most of other Star Wars, so we can actually talk about season 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we could talk about the last episode. I mean, Ahsoka episode, great. I love the Ahsoka episode. It's very much like those Japanese films.
It was quite fun. Yeah.
It was fun.
Rosario Dawson's good. Glad she's getting
Dawson's great. Laser swords, fun, cool. Moving on. Boo. Boo.
Sorry, John, if you didn't see this one.
I didn't see this one, but I know what you're doing.
I'll talk about the episode. Most of it was actually good. I liked them infiltrating the base. I liked when he met the evil black guy who plays the evil black guy on every show. That was good. I liked their little fight. That was
he really
cool.
has a very specific type.
He's very typecast. I liked the drama of Mandalorian getting the Darksaber and all the tension that's going to cause with Bo-Katan. That's a fun thing to build up that they've been dropped. I wish that was resolved.
Darksabers are cool. Love Darksabers.
And Darksabers are cool. There, done. And then they finally built tension because they had Mando fight one of the Dark Troopers before. You're like, oh, they're actually hard. There's lots of them. Now we're gonna have our team of heroes try to beat all the Dark Troopers, and like Mando's gonna use the Darksaber. Maybe he'll like give it to Bo-Katan, and they can use it together. And that's going to actually be something that has tension. Maybe they can kill Bo-Katan. Maybe they can actually do stuff that brings tension and has consequences. And I was so excited. I'm like, finally, there's tension because I don't know if they can actually win this battle without having some casualties. That's great. And then the X-wing shows up, and I immediately knew what was happening. Like, fuck, no, they built tension, and now they lost it. Okay, but there is a way to save this. We can now have Luke and Mandalorian fight together So there can still be tension, but we'll have Mandalorian with the Darksaber and Luke with his green saber trying to take on the Dark Troopers together. They can go back to back, just like in Last Jedi. And actually, they can still have tension. And then that didn't happen. And then it was just Luke being a badass, which I hate because Luke shouldn't be a badass, as we've already discussed. Because Luke's not a badass; he's a nerd. So like his action is okay, but if I was directing the episode, I would have assuming the same kind of choices were needing to be made, even though I disagree with them. Assuming I still have to shoot the same scenes. There's ways to shoot Luke's scenes better that make him look less of a badass and more like a nerd that still resembles the way Luke fought in Episode 6. Because the way he fights in episode in Mandalorian is nothing like how he fights in Episode 6. It's a very different style of fighting. Which
is weird because it seems like something that Dave Filoni would understand too. Because Dave Filoni is very conscious of that.
But Dave Filoni didn't write the episode. Peyton Reed directed it, who was the director of Ant-Man, which that makes sense. And Jon Favreau wrote it, which also makes sense, right? Dave Filoni
he's in a producing role.
He's still a producer, but you can't beat Peyton Reed and Jon Favreau, which is like two of like the top Marvel guys. Which makes sense for why the episode went the way it did, because it happens like a Marvel film.
It's what I was saying. They're turning Star Wars into Marvel, and
they are, which I am not happy about. So yeah, I'm already upset about the way Luke's fighting. I'm like, okay, they tried to make him look cool. They have the shot of him just like Vader in Rogue One, which that shouldn't be anything. That shouldn't happen because that's not who Luke is. That doesn't feel right for Luke.
No, yeah.
And then he takes off his hood. I'm like, Mark Hamill, what happened to you? Oh no!
Which is weird because they said that Mark Hamill was on set to film that.
He did the voice.
It's so weird also to see like a moment that they think is going to be really good, just like horribly backfire.
But the thing is, people like it. So like the thing on Twitter that I hate, same thing with like the Boba Fett clip, people are posting Luke's fight on Twitter and they're like, yes, we finally have my Luke Skywalker back. Ours is back. I'm like, no, this was never your Luke Skywalker. This was never Luke Skywalker. This is the first time we've seen Luke do anything like this. So like
this is a character we've never met.
Yeah.
No, but like not even that. Like, people posting his fight and be like, yes, our Luke Skywalker is back, because like in episode 8 he wasn't badass, and now he's badass again. And they're like, oh, he's back, but he was never actually like this.
Well, and that's a big problem with fandoms in general is claiming the characters as your own instead of
this mental
as who they are in the character.
Yeah.
Like, you start to project what you want them to be on the characters, and then when that's not the character, people get really upset and.
Yep.
And now apparently we just change everything when fans get upset like that. So
and the thing is that Star Wars for me so much is like a child's idea of what is cool because I grew up watching it.
Yeah, it is.
So then realizing as you're older, oh, it wasn't actually ever cool, but that's what I like.
Which is great.
Yeah. So then retroactively making it cool is just like self-sabotage.
It's missing the point because it's essentially like the Mandalorian is essentially a big budget fan film.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is, right? And like especially this last episode of Mandalorian with Luke, because it looks like a fan film because you make these characters look all cool and stuff, but there's no but they ruin all the stakes they developed by making Luke come in as like a Deus Ex Machina, and then it feels flat.
Yeah, and if you've seen Star Wars short films, they seem the same.
They're exactly the same.
It really does. Every episode of The Mandalorian feels like a Star Wars short film.
Yes.
It really does. I even really like some of those short films, but then when you see it as the actual franchise where it's like
but it shouldn't be the franchise.
Making the franchise, it's a little bit jarring, It's like this is
jarring.
Which is a great pun.
It's like if Born of Hope, that Lord of the Rings fan-made film, was canon in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it doesn't. No. Yeah, and then in terms of Luke's face, so they got. I've seen what the double looks like. The guy that they actually made to play Luke, and it's fine, but it's not. It doesn't look like him. And so like they did not de-age Mark Hamill. They did a face replacement. They should have got Mark Hamill if they wanted to do
that's it. That's definitely a Jon Favreau thing. He's really into the digital replacements.
Yeah. If they wanted to do a digital replacement thing, they should have just filmed Mark Hamill and then did an actual de-aging. They didn't. They got a younger actor and then they did a face swap.
I think Jon Favreau
which
is
looks
very
weird.
similar to George Lucas in that he gets so excited about technological
technology.
ideas that he
Yeah.
that he like undercuts his own like art.
Yeah, he
just
sabotages
because he's
himself.
trying to push boundaries. Yeah.
So ideally, they would have cast the Winter Soldier guy because he would be a fine Luke.
Yeah,
Not
Sebastian
perfect,
Stan.
but he'd be fine. Yeah, Sebastian Stan, not Sebastian Shaw. Yeah, he'd be fine. It's not great, but fine. And second case scenario, they do a Mark Hamill de-age. Worst case scenario, they do a face swap on a new actor, which is what they did. And it looks weird. It doesn't look great. There's like 2 frames that look okay, but whenever he starts moving, it looks weird. The guy doesn't walk like Mark Hamill. I did a frame by frame analysis of the way the guy walks in the corridor compared to the way Luke walks in episode 6, because there's a scene of him on a hallway walking with Vader. Because again, I am terrible and I have no life. So I did a frame by frame analysis on the way Luke walks, and it's all wrong. He doesn't walk like Luke at all. It's like whenever he's like shot from behind, I'm like, that's not Luke. That's just a man walking. It doesn't feel like Luke. There's so many problems with it that make me just so upset because I love Luke Skywalker and I have that exact costume. And I'm like, I could do a better job as Luke Skywalker than this. Because he just he feels like a 30-year-old man. He doesn't feel like Luke Skywalker, which should be very different. And I left very frustrated, and then I made angry tweets asking to be on podcasts, and here we are.
Here we are.
And
Full
with
circle.
that, we're gonna stay in this relationship because we spent too much time. But boy, does it suck.
So then I guess that raises the question then, on our rating system, Mandalorian, is it just season 2, David, or do you want to do the whole show?
I think we're rating Star Wars as a whole.
Okay, Star Wars.
Oh no.
Okay, so how it works is you can either give it a 0, which is do not watch this. You can give it a 1, do what you want, basically. Or a 2, you have to see this, right? So I think I would say if you haven't seen it, 0.
If you haven't seen it, do not watch.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
I agree. If you haven't seen it, do not watch. If you have seen it, watch.
You're already watching it. You have to.
You're stuck. I don't say you have to. You can be a better person than I am. You can get therapy. You can have growth. You can stop. You can try. I can't. I'm too far gone. But there is hope for someone else, I think. So I give it a 1 rating. Then if you have seen it, I give you a 1 rating. Do what you want. Try to get help. Try to find a way out. But if you end up being trapped like me, just try to survive as best as you can.
The rating is basically a 0.5.
Yeah.
0.5. I give Star Wars a 0.5. Yeah.
So with that, Garrison, what would you like to plug? You've got some podcasts going on.
Yeah, currently have a podcast going on about the Portland BLM protests called Uprising, a guide from Portland, produced by iHeartRadio. You can find it on wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's fantastic. Everyone should go listen to it.
Well, thank you.
Garrison is very talented, and we're happy to have him.
Thank you so much. You can also check out Behind the Bastards, Robert Evans' podcast.
Bob Evans.
I have some episodes upcoming on there. I have like 3 episodes coming up soon that I have written and hosted. There's that. Also, I have some old episodes about Focus on the Family if you want to learn about weird religious stuff.
We both grew up homeschoolers as well. So the Focus on the Family.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah,
great.
It was great.
Oh,
that was
awesome.
That was very close to home.
Yeah. I wanted to make the episode, and I'm glad I'm done with it. That, and then lastly, if you want to see me ask to be on more podcasts, you can follow me on Twitter at HungryBowtie.
And
awesome.
That is the end.
And David froze and left.
Great. Perfect. Ideal.
Thanks for coming on. It was a great chat.
Yeah, thank you so much.